بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم والعن أعداءهم. Responsibility number 6 towards the Imam of our time, عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف, during his occultation is to be pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will of keeping him in occultation and in the ghaibah, away from our sight. In this time of ghaibah, many people will be tested and have been tested and are being tested. Some of them, because of the lengthy nature of this ghaibah and its occultation, will lose belief in the Imam and will say, surely he should have come out by now. Some people now thinking, well, the earth is so full of corruption, so full of injustice, where is the Imam? Some of them will say there's no evidence to prove that the Imam is born or that he even exists, and they lose belief in the Imam, Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. All this because the length of his ghaibah is too long. Whereas the mu'min, the Muslim, is the one who surrenders to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and submits to him and is pleased with his will of concealing the Imam, Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, from the people. Al-Imam Muhammad al-Jawad alayhi afdal salatu wa السلام, it's been narrated from him in a narration in which he discusses this reality. الصقر ibn Delf, one of his companions, says that I heard Aba Ja'far, Muhammad ibn Ali الرضا, الإمام al-Jawad عليه السلام, say, إن الإمام بعدي ابني علي, the Imam after me is my son Ali, al-Hadi, al-Naqi, عليه أفضل الصلاة والسلام. أمره أمري, his matter is my matter. وقوله قولي, his saying, his words are my words. وطاعته طاعتي, his obedience is my obedience, meaning he is Imam Ma'asum, just like me. وَالْإِمَامُ بَعْدَهُ ابْنُهُ الْحَسَنِ, after him the Imam will be Al-Hasan, his son, meaning Al-Hasan al-Askari عليه أفضل الصلاة والسلام. أمره أمر أبيه, the same thing. Whatever he says, whatever he commands, his obedience is just like his father's, which is just like mine, which goes back to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. The narrator says that then the Imam went silent. ثم سكت. The Imam went silent. فقلت له يا ابن رسول الله فمن الإمام بعد الحسن. I asked him, O son of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, who is the Imam after Al-Hasan al-Askari alayhi salam? This is very important for us to pay attention to. فبكى عليه السلام بكاء شديدا. At that point, the Imam started to cry profusely. He started to cry very heavily. ثم قال, and then he said after he was done crying, or perhaps while he was still, whilst tears were still flowing from him, إن من بعد الحسن ابنه القائم بالحق المنتظر. After Al-Hasan al-Askari alayhi salam is his son Al-Qa'im, the awaited one, the rising one and the awaited one. So the narrator says that I asked him, O son of Rasulullah, لما سمي القائم, why was he called Al-Qa'im? Why was he named Al-Qa'im? Of course by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and as expressed by the Holy Prophet and the Imams. He asked, why this name? Why is he known as the one who rises? The Imam responds, قال لأنه يقوم بعد موت ذكره وارتداد أكثر القائلين بإمامته. He says, because he will rise after his remembrance from the tongues of the people will die. No one remembers him anymore, or very few remember him. And most of those people who believed in his imamah will leave and abandon their belief in him. This is a warning for us not to take the belief in the Imam lightly, or think that because we believe in him now, we will always believe in him. Rather, this is a sign for us to strengthen our belief in him and to ask the tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to stay on this path, as we will discuss in future episodes, inshaAllah. And then the narrator asked him, وَلِمَ سُمِّيَ الْمُنْتَظَرِ, and why was he named Al-Muntazar, meaning the awaited one? So the Imam responded, قال لأن له غيبة يكثر أيامها ويطول أمدها. It's because he has an occultation, the days of which are very much, meaning he'll be in occultation for so long. ويطول أمدها فينتظر خروجه المخلصون. At that point, the sincere ones will be awaiting him. They won't abandon their belief, and they won't stop waiting for him and disbelieve in him. وينكره المرتابون. Those of doubts, those of misconceptions, those who have become overcome with these doubts and false beliefs will start to deny his existence. وَيَسْتَهْزِئُ بِذِكْرِهِ الْجَاحِدُونَ. Those arrogant, disbelieving ones will mock his belief and his remembrance, rather. They will mock his remembrance and anybody who remembers him or mentions him or believes in him. As we see today, those who mock those who believe in Imam al-Hujjah, Salam ta'ala alayhi, the Imam mentioned this way back then. وَيَكْذِبُ فِيهَا الْوَقَّاتُونَ. And those who say that he'll come on such and such day or such and such day, they will be liars. And people who will come out to falsely claim that they know when the Imam will return. And then the Imam says, وَيَهْلِكُ فِيهَا الْمُسْتَعْجِلُونَ. This is the part that we're supposed to be concerned about in this episode. وَيَهْلِكُ فِيهَا الْمُسْتَعْجِلُونَ. Those who are so in a rush that they just want Allah to send him already. Just send him already. You know, it's time. It's been time. It's been long enough. Those people, they will fail. Yahlik. They will lose. People who are so in a rush and trying to rush the matter and affair of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The last one is وَيَنْجُو فِيهَا الْمُسَلِّمُونَ. Those who will submit and have submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially in this affair, they will be saved. Those who rush, those who doubt, those who have misconceptions, those who are impatient and so on and so forth, they will all fail in this test of ghaibah. As the Imam says, and many people, most of those who used to believe in him will disbelieve in him. Who will be saved? Those who have patience and those who submit to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has so much wisdom behind protecting the Imam and concealing him from us. Some of them perhaps go back to us as the people who are supposed to be his followers and his protectors and his supporters. Perhaps one of them is he doesn't have enough supporters. That when he comes, he won't be able to carry out his mission because he doesn't have the support from people. And of course, he's aided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But just as the Holy Prophet and the Imams waited for support from people, and they were commanded to go based off of people's support and not by miracles, so too is the Imam. That's one of them. One of them is the fact that he has so many enemies. And again, this goes back to people who are supposed to be protecting him and supporting him, us inshallah, that they're not enough to protect the Imam. One of them is that such that he doesn't give bay'ah or give obedience to any corrupt or oppressive ruler. Rather, he comes and he goes and gets the power immediately, not surrendering to any corrupt ruler or acting in taqiyya. One of them is that this is just a wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just as we don't question his commands, as for example salah or saum or hajj and so on and so forth, we must not question the decision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep the Imam concealed in this ghaibah. And Imam al-Hujjah Salam ta'ala عليه, as has been narrated in one letter he wrote to one of his companions, the Imam mentions this, that this is the decision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that whenever I return or whenever I reappear, this is up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we must know that. The Imam emphasizes this. وَأَمَّا ظُهُورُ الْفَرَجِ. As for the return and reappearance of the faraj and the relief and the advent of his return, فَإِنَّهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ تَعَالَى ذِكْرُهُ. This goes back to Allah. This is up to Allah. This is his decision. وَكَذَبَ الْوَقَّاتُونَ. And those who put a time to when the Imam will reappear, they are liars. They're not telling the truth. Therefore, submitting to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, while also trying to prepare ourselves such that the Imam, or such that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends him sooner. How? Perhaps one of the reasons that he doesn't have enough companions. And that's from us, that's our fault. We have to work harder to devote our lives to the Imam Salamullahi ta'ala alayhi, and to prepare ourselves to support him from now. And it will show through our actions now. Is our lifestyle that like the Imam would like? How we go about our day? How much we remember the Imam? How much we think of him? How much we think of his satisfaction when we choose to do things or choose not to do things? All of this will give us indications of, are we ready to support the Imam when he returns? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to do so, and to be prepared to do that, inshaAllah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.